ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome to the Cram Cannon Tetris tutorial for From the Depths. Now, I have mentioned many times in my videos before, referencing something called Cram Tetris, and I believe more than one person has asked me what exactly that is and what I mean by it. And essentially, the longer question out of that comes from how to do whatever that is well. Well, the bad news is that, as ever, there's the disclaimer that I'm not an expert on this kind of thing, only have 1,000 hours in the game. Can't tell you absolutely everything, but I can give you a decent overview, because the good news is that the actual experts have been busy. And so what Rambot is standing on is a well-known Cram Tetris Mark II platform, which is basically showing off pretty much both the more basic and some of the more advanced ways to essentially rig up a cram cannon efficiently and effectively. And so, what this video is essentially going to do, well, essentially going to be, rather, is a guided tour of this little platform. And we'll start way over here. So, the basic cram pattern is based around a kind of cross pattern. So, as the signs say here, the cram cake, as it's called, is just the one layer, is the 1 meter, 1 block thick layer that is part of a cram cannon. And there's many different sizes, but they're all the same basic pattern over and over, and this is what that pattern is. You have connectors arranged like so, in a kind of cross shape. You have pellets or ammunition going diagonally across that, and you have the same kind of cross pattern with the connectors. So the autoloaders, if you look at the cram autoloader itself, what you have is 3 pegs and 3 pins. The pegs go onto the connector, and you can make this kind of cross right here, and you can replicate this pattern over and over again until it's as big as you want it. So, with that in mind, this is the 4-way connection, as I call it in cram cannons. This is, for the most part, the simplest one to make and also the most effective one, because this little pellet in the middle is attached to 4 autoloaders out of a possible 6, which means it's very efficient. And the trick with cram cannons is to maximize the amount of pins stuck into pellets. Particularly high explosive pellets, because these are quite expensive. If you have a gun which uses a lot of high explosive pellet blocks, the cost is going to ramp up very quickly. Other ones, not so much, but for these, I'd say you want at least a 3-way connection. And it's actually kind of hard to make a 3-way connection, but yeah. So the trick with making a cram turret and centering it and organizing it is what goes in the middle. And this example right here, the most basic version, you see it starts with a pellet in the middle. And if you're making a cram cannon with an even number of connector columns in it, because that's how this works, if I wanted to make an actual turret out of this, what I'd do is I'd prefab this this little slice of cake, and I'll just stack it up higher and higher and higher. So you end up with a column of connectors going up like this, column of autoloaders, and a column of pellets going up the middle there. So that's actually quite simple. In fact, yeah, so you can do that very easily. What am I missing? Not much actually, this video is going to be quite brief really. So we're going to take the guided tour around this platform. So that's a basic 4x4, here is, and it all depends on what kind of the size of the turret and how many actual guns you want on top of it. Because different cram systems can share pellets between them, and that's another trick for efficiency, is to getting them to share pellets as much as possible. So in this case, this is 5x5 even barrel. So what this means is you can either have something like this, just have the cake all through here. Let's just do this, dun 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 dun, and you can just do something like this. And now this is a functional cram. So gauge increase, we can just do something like this. Really easy, really simple. Okay, so here is a Cram Cannon of sorts. And you can even fire it. So, over here. Okay, so this doesn't have any ammo. Easily fixed. So go here, and it's generally a good idea to stick ammo further on the outside of your Cram Cannon, because this is cheaper and it's not explodey. The more delicate, expensive stuff you want further in the middle. Pretty basic turret design. And if we fire here, and if we fire again, this thing will take a really long time to reload. This is actually not that bad. So go here. Not a pretty terrible shell, only barely over 800 explosive damage. Crams can do a lot better than that. And that's where the slice of cake comes into it. So let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Little prefab right here. Prefab save so much time, like you wouldn't believe. Okay, so now that we've added a lot more ammo and explosive power, this is quite small by Cram standards still, barely over 1,000 millimeters. That's a weird universe where that's small. And now, clear the barrel. And over 2,000 explosive damage, which is quite a bit better. Now I'm going to delete this so as to not ruin the look of a wellness platform. So that's one way to do a cram. But if you want a multi-barreled cram, as in you want two guns sitting on top, it's actually reasonably simple, because we have an even number of connectors in here, and so all you really have to do is connect half of them together so that they make a gun. So go here, go here, go here, go here, and then connect them in an asymmetric way. Should be reasonably simple. That looks okay, I guess. That's all connected. You know, we can do this. We can do this, watch this. There we go. So these two connection blocks, well, these four in the middle are not actually touching because blocks don't connect diagonally. So it means that what we can do is this, and now you see here this thing says it has 10 explosive material boxes. This is 12.5. Don't worry if the numbers aren't exact, the game's funny like that. And the important thing to remember in here is that you can share pellets between crams, you can't share ammunition. See, one of these crams, I believe it's this one, it's this one, has 3,000 ammunition, this one has 1,000. That's no good. You want them both to have the same amount of ammunition, so neither of them run out. So what we're gonna do then is going to figure out which one's which. So this is where painting is a very good idea. You can tell what the hell you're doing. So gonna paint this one red. Gonna paint the town red. And we're going to paint the other one blue. So once you get over the once you get over the kind of neurosis of like wanting to keep everything symmetrical, this isn't tremendously bad. So now you see this column here of ammunition is being shared by this gun and this gun. That's no good, so we're just going to replace this with something else. And in this case, this is a two-way connection. It's not really worth it to stick explosive pellets in there. Like, it's very rarely you'd want to go below 3 connections for this kind of thing. Although, now think about it, this is a 4-way connection, so we can in fact do that. Actually, wait. Now it's 2 for this one and 2 for that one. Yeah, screw it. It'll work out. Just for demonstration purposes. So now, what you have here is an asymmetric turret, but quite an efficient one. So you see, this one has 1,000 ammunition, this one has 1,000 ammunition, and what I tend to do is use as much space as possible on the gun itself. So here's a gauge increase, stick that there, stick that there, stick that there, and stick that there, stick that there, and stick that there, stick that there. Remember, it needs to be diagonal in order to touch. So here now we have two guns, which are over 500 millimeters, and they have broadly the same reload time and all that jazz, but they're still a little bit small, so we're just gonna add some more gauge increases up here, and this is where we can... wrong thing. This is where we can even it out a little bit. Let's get above 1000. Okay. So you can stick gauge increases above deck, like in the turret cap itself. That's reasonably okay for crams because, for one thing, I believe that gauge increases actually count as structural blocks. So they actually add armor. They can be used in layered armor. Just stick some metal over the top of them. The gauge increase will help. Or so I believe. I might be wrong on that. They're also reasonably tough. So 350 health, 15 armor, 10 weight. It's almost in the same ballpark as a metal block, except it's a bit lighter. So still pretty heavy though. So now we've done that. And now, where is it? Where's it? Motor-driven barrel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what's it? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not them. So now we have a pretty reasonably functional two-barreled gun. 1000 millimeters. Lots of explosive damage. Kaboom. Lots of smoke. And hopefully this doesn't bug out. Nope. So yeah, there you go. We have a 5x5 double turret. So, that wasn't too hard. Now I'm going to delete this thing. Actually, no, I'm not. And you can essentially do that just on a larger scale with pretty much any of these patterns. Or rather, so long as you have an even number of connectors on top. So long as one gun's connectors or gauge increases don't touch another one's, then it won't screw up and one gun won't be made much bigger and have a lot more pellets than the other one. And remember that they can't share ammunition, and you should be okay. It's reasonably easy. So you can go 5x5, you can go 7x7, you can go 9x9, you can go 11x11, right up to 13x13 or even bigger. And these ones are all even barreled because of what's right in the middle. It starts with a pellet in the middle. If you do the other way, and you start with a connector in the middle, you end up with an odd number. And which is where you can get triple barrel turrets. Something that I don't make often myself, but it's quite the popular thing. You can see here, Rawel has made some all ready for display. And the way you do these is pretty much the same as what was going before. So this is, I guess, the smallest you can really make them. This is 9x9. It's pretty big. I think you might be able to... Yeah, I think... Unless you somehow manage to... Yeah, you can't really do with 6, I believe. Hang on, if you... Nah, it wouldn't work with 6. You'd be very hard-pressed to have the same pattern and only have 6 connection columns. But, you never know, and it's not impossible. So, same thing as before, you can do this. So, wipe, and 9, and 9. And this is arguably almost easier than the other one, and that sign is coming along with us for the ride. Let's make this 4 meters tall. Lots of stuff on the outside, and we're going to get rid of those hardener pellets, replace them with ammunition. That might be a problem, actually. Yeah, let's just quickly check on how Rawel arranges the ammo for this. So you go over here. That was the wrong button. So ammunition is cunningly hidden somewhere in here. I'm not sure where. Does this one? This one doesn't have ammunition. Might need to speed through this bit while I add ammo to this. Okay, so pretty much all of these should have their own ammunition stash by now. And connecting them all up, pretty simple. It's what we were doing before. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you see here, so 2,000 ammunition, 100 explosive, 115, 100, 35 hardening, 30 hardening, 35. Pretty good if I say so myself. And the great thing about having 3x3s like this is it means you can use corner gauge increases. And these things only attach on 4 of their sides to other Cram Cannon pieces, which means you can do this. You can have them touching each other. So there, 1400 millimeters already. And you can do the same over here. Mr. Blue. So these are not touching. Really good indeed. I'm gonna have the regulars over here. So that's not quite as big as the one in the middle. That's okay, we'll work on that. Okay, so there we have reasonably competently put together a little cram. It will just add some barrels onto it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wrong color. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there we go. We've got a triple-barreled turret setup. Should be reasonably good. Where are we? We're right there. Jump, Rambot. Damn it, Rambot. Jump. There we go. Good boy. So all of these 3 guns are sharing materials between them, so it's a reasonably effective and efficient big gun. And you see this staggered fire in there is because this one and this one, I believe they have a slightly different reload time, and that's easy to fix because you can go in here and you can have a minimum pack time. So 15 seconds or 10 seconds rather. Let's try it again and bang. And they should all fire at the same time now. All be really good. Peachy and rosy. So yeah, I can't read. This one is 10.64 for the reload speed. And the problem you do have is that in this arrangement, the one in the middle is probably going to be a little bit more powerful than the ones on either side. I am never bothered by such things, but if you are, you might want to, I don't know, jimmy around in the gun a bit more. But suffice to say is that triple-barreled, also reasonably easy, provided that you remember these gauge increase corners can be stuck on each other quite well. Oh, hello. Nope, that's still working, that's good. Okay, so that's a 9x9 triple-barrel turret with stacked signs free of charge next to it, and you can go bigger, so long as it's divisible by 3. So here we have an 11x11. It's still 9 in the middle, it's just an extra blocks on either side, extra gauge increases on the end, and then we have the 13x13, which makes for pretty efficient guns, because it means that you're essentially doubling up the usefulness of all the pellets running in between each gun, which is very nice indeed. So that is essentially the basic 4x4 pattern. You can get clever, and in fact, a Wellner has. You can, for one thing, you can turn this pattern sideways, because currently looking down on it, it's on a flat horizontal plane, you can turn it vertical to get stuff like this. This is in fact what Rawel used to overhaul one of my ship's cannons. You turn it on its side, you do this, and you do this, and this, and this, and this, and then you can essentially have a 4-way connections in this repeating pattern right here, which is very cool, very clever. And see here, like, I am going to put the link to this Cram Tetris platform in the description, because honestly it's just really good. You can go get really cute and you can make a 5-way connection on each pellet. So here you have an explosive pellet and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 autoloaders connected to it, which is very, very efficient. It is really good. And so this is a slightly more complex pattern. You can kind of see that there's a bit of a T shape, or not really. There's a bit of a, what's it? A bit of an iron cross in here. And so yeah, quite effective. Like you can see, like even here on the bottom, there's a 5-way connection, 5-way connection. There's a 3-way connection over here, but you could very easily just stick an ammo barrel in there or something. Same here, and just you can keep building this up and repeating it until you get a very big gun. Okay, so similar thing here, it's the 5-way. So instead of having exactly the same layer over and over again, you alternate layers. So here you have this bottom layer, which is reasonably standard pattern, except not really, because there's a lot more autoloaders in it. So you see the pegs. Not the pegs, pegs and socket. The socket of the autoloader is pointing up now. So you have it pointing up, and so it can stick onto 3 of these in quite a closer pattern. And it means that where there would usually be like another connection column over here, there's instead more autoloaders and more pellets. So very efficient. I'm going to try this myself at some point. And here is where you can kind of put it into practice. This, I believe, right here is the 5-way connection. So right here, see, there it is, there it is, there it is. And this is a very efficient kind of Tetris setup, because it means that because autoloaders are quite a bit cheaper than high explosive pellets, so if you err on the side of more autoloaders, less high explosive pellets. In fact, they are cheaper than almost every kind of pellet except hardener pellets, so really, like, the more autoloaders the better, less pellets the better for an efficient cram. And that's basically it for Cram Tetris. It's basically the 4x4, and if you like, you can also do less. You can do 2x2, 3x3 is possible, and then there's the 5x5. There's also 6x6, which I will just quickly show you right now. This is basically how you do it. The pattern for this is actually quite difficult, so let's see. So what you do is you get something like this. Autoloaders, autoloaders, autoloader, and autoloader, and one more on top. And so you got 6 of these things all pointing in the middle, and you have your pellet in there. This is literally the maximum amount of autoloaders you can stick into one pellet. The problem is that this gets rather big very quickly. So if we go, here we go. There's the peg, 6-way connector. Needs to go there. Whoops. Needs to go there. Needs to go there. Another one needs to go there. Can't really do that because there's metal in the way. Actually, we can. Yahoo! So right there. Doom, doom. So you end up with this kind of roll cage of Cram Cannon parts. Up here, up here, up here, up here, up here. So yeah, this thing is getting pretty big, but the good news is that connectors are reasonably cheap, and so autoloaders, and so you've got 1 in here, and that's actually pretty good. And you can stuff the rest with either hardener pellets or ammo barrels, or not ammo barrels, ammo boxes, and all that cheap stuff. So this is very hard. If I were you, I'd stick to the 4x4 or the 5x5, or rather, yeah, the 5x5 connections. And what else? That's basically it for Cram Tetris. Like, this is one of the simpler parts of this game, which is one of the reasons I like Cram so much. They're pretty easy to build, and just you just keep repeating the same pattern over and over. It's almost soothing, and as I just showed you right now, very easy to prefab and very easy to make it quickly, to just essentially repeat the same pattern over and over again. And you can do 2x2, you can do 3x3, you can even do more than that. 4-barrel turrets are entirely possible using the even-numbered pattern over here. They can be a little bit hard to get efficient because each gun has access to a lot fewer pellets and there's a lot less sharing between them. And you can theoretically do things like, how many autoloaders are in this big thing? So we got 1, 2, 3, got 3, 7, 10, 12, plus 12, 16, 19, 21. Yeah. That number doesn't work for that, but like if you want to try for 5x5, be my guest. But for the basics, 4x4 is your best friend. Use these ones. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you next time in From the Depths. And as I said before, this platform, a link to it on Steam Workshop will be in the description. Thank you, Welner, for making this thing. Farewell!